Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Oh, no, we don't want that. We want this right there. There we go. There we are. Hello. Welcome back.
Uh,
Second edition of the Games Club. Uh, this one perhaps a little bit more negative than our first one. We'll find out. We're going to talk tonight about 8-bit hordes. As previously, not quite always, but as previously, I am joined by Fiasco down there at the end.
Hi.
Goose.
Honk.
Graves is here.
yeah.
New this time, we've got Jumbles,
Hello.
and we have Carson. Carson might have gone to get a drink. That's fine. I'm sure he's got lots of opinions that he's going to force us to listen to. As last month, guys, we do have a vote for the game that we are playing next month. I'm going to bring this up again at the end, but in case you can only catch the beginning, but you want to impact what we're playing next month, you have 3 options. You can type 1, 2, or 3 in chat to vote. And next month is going to be roguelike games. So we have Rogue Legacy, Wizard of Legend, and Moonlighter. We're going to be talking about those at the end of the stream, right after we kind of give our formal review here of 8-bit hordes.
So that was the top 3.
Those were the top 3, yeah. Secret even to
So-
the viewers.
Wait, what? Was I supposed to be paying attention? What were
No,
you talking
no,
about?
not at all. No. You can actually, if you just want to go get a drink or something, you can space off for
I
another
have
couple
a drink.
minutes here.
I have a drink there.
So as always, we like to start by honoring the people that worked hard on the game, the developers. Petroglyph Games made 8-bit hordes. Just give it a couple minutes here. They've also made a couple other games, 8-bit armies and 8-bit invaders. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But 8-bit hordes is available on the PC, released August 12th of 2016, and it is a light real-time strategy game. It's inspired by real-time strategy game. Carson, hey, I hear you're back.
Yes.
We're in the thick of it. I've already introduced everybody else. If you missed it, that guy to my left is Carson. He's here.
How's it going? I'm Carson. I'm not quite as white as my picture may look.
Ho-ho! Good one. All right.
But you and Jumbles are very brave for using your real face on your pictures.
Oh!
I mean, I do have those beautiful blue striking eyes. So.
Hold on. They are
Carson
show off.
cannot
I do
grow a
appreciate
beard.
that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hold on. Did you just slight Goose? Because I'm pretty sure that's him from his high school
That's him from
photos. Yeah. All right. So 8-bit hordes. There are 2 main factions in 8-bit hordes. Hey, Hotches, thanks for joining us, my man. The first is the Deathsworn. The Deathsworn is the one that I was kind of pigeonholed into playing first, just because it was the leftmost one on the campaign missions. The other faction are the Lightbringers. So those are the 2 main factions in the game. There are some other factions that come into play, but we'll talk a little bit more about that, like I said, as we get into it. Basically, the campaign is you playing between those 2 factions. You kind of build out, these are the tech trees, standard real-time strategy sort of stuff. You got your different sorts of troops that counter each other, buildings that allow you to produce those troops. But as you can see, everything that fits on the screen there between the factions, it's pretty light. There's not a whole lot of depth to it. There's no sort of technology tree, just the build trees. And I know I'll be talking a little bit about that as we get into it. So let me just throw up some game capture here while we chat. Guys, I wanted to start by talking about, I don't know if you can call it a campaign, the missions that they present you with. First question to go down the line, how many missions did you guys successfully complete out of the campaign? Fiasco.
So I got about 3/4 of the way down on each of them.
Okay, wow. All right, you
side.
you were much more pervasive than I was. Goose, how
Yeah.
far did you make it down the tree?
I managed to make it all the way through Deathsworn, but I could barely get through Lightbringer.
I'm interested to hear why, because I personally did not get very far into Lightbringer either. I think I did like the first mission, and the Deathsworn I did like the first 4.
Did you make it through the Lightbringers, or you finished halfway, Goose?
I got like 3 missions in, and then I just couldn't do anymore.
Couldn't do it. How about you, Graves? I know that you played quite a bit of this game.
I made it like halfway through, a little over halfway. The Deathsworn didn't even touch the other guys. Whoever
Maybe
they
not
are.
as much
I
as
don't
I
even
thought.
know. Oh no, I put a lot of time into it. I did not play the campaign though.
Gotcha. Jumbles, how about you?
Similar to Rod, I did not play. I played like probably the first mission, but I was more interested in the multiplayer.
And I think that that's probably where I wanted to start by complaining about this game, is that the campaign, if you want to call it that again, like it's just a series of missions with objectives.
It's
Not
a tutorial.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
But
The whole campaign is a tutorial.
and that's what I didn't like about it, is that it took so long for me to get into the game, because at the start you have one building, uh, your stronghold, and they're like, okay, we're going to introduce you to all the other buildings, and they tell you a little bit about them, but then they're like, and you can only build 2 of them. You can have a barracks and you can have a farm, and that's it. And I felt like I just kept playing the same thing over and over again because they weren't giving me anything new. I felt like I couldn't build the troop types in the trees. I couldn't unlock as much, so I probably should have played more multiplayer. But the campaign missions really kind of slowed down the start for me, and did negatively impact my opinion of the game.
Yeah, essentially what they were doing was each mission, you had access to a new unit, and that's about it. Like
Yep.
one new unit each mission.
And
Like,
I
And then when you
I don't
beat
know.
that mission, all you get is that unit to
Yeah,
play on the next mission, or to go back and replay the same missions with new units. It's like, just gotta
Yeah,
wait.
that was one of my downsides, was it taking so long to unlock everything. And I was like, I just want everything right now. Why do I have to get all the way through? So I really didn't unlock much and wasn't able to use much.
yeah. The campaign is just pointless. Like there was no reason to have that there. I don't feel like this was a game that was so advanced in technique and skill that they had to slow your way into it to adjust and learn. I mean, it's a very simple, basic. It's basically a mobile RTS. I mean, I could play this on my. I think I could have played this on my phone.
I think that's
Yeah.
fair too. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it looks beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I love the graphics. Like those were very appealing to me, and definitely the saving grace for what little score I did give it.
the only thing I liked about the game were the graphics.
Yeah, it's a great look, but it definitely needed a little bit more on the gameplay flow side to help get over that barrier, because I think you're right. The tutorial mission of it, the aspect there, could have been done in such a shorter amount of time. I felt like I was, maybe I wasn't playing as quite as good as I should have, but I felt like it was taking me like 30 minutes just to get through these easy things that introduce one new unit.
Yes, especially like, if you did the Death Sword time, how OP the starting
The
units
halberd
were
guy,
for the Lightbringer people
the
versus
AOE halberd guy.
You're
Yeah,
on
that was-
Oh
the
yeah.
perfect
It's so
transition.
frustrating.
Kill
Yeah,
all your skeletons. in,
Those
like,
guys
one
were-
hit.
one of them would just keep going. I was like, this is not balanced at all at the start. of
No.
this.
No, the
It
whole
got to the
game.
point where you just had to macro to every one of those guys because everyone else is doing
Yeah.
single target damage. So you're gonna just kill the AOE guys first, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this guy's 5 times stronger, but he's only hitting one guy at a time slowly. I don't even care about him. These 2 halberd guys will wreck me.
Yeah,
I hated
Go
that.
I just
Matter of fact,
wound
yeah,
up
they're
making
in the
much
screen
slower.
right now, just swinging at it. Look at them.
Yeah, they really surprised me, and it took me a while to realize, like, geez, these guys are wiping out my army. But when I did, I'll say this: when I did, I realized that this game, since it's so simple, is mainly focused on the micro play. Which once I kind of accepted that, I actually kind of enjoyed like attack move kiting with my archers for a little bit, but I couldn't stomach the idea of just continually doing that every game.
Yeah,
maybe
and then, well,
on
the
the
archers were definitely OP on the Deathsworn side.
maybe on the beginning part for microing, but really this game had nothing to do with microing. It is all about huge hordes of enemies,
Just
and
yeah,
that's it.
it's
And
my
there's no balance to it either. Like I stuck after I got done with the campaign, I did other stuff. Basically, just stuck with the same structure of units each time, and there's just no counter to what I was building. Like
right.
yeah, it's
And then outside of your keep or whatever, or your barracks or whatnot, all I was doing once I got to a certain point, then my spawn point for my barracks was a completely the other side of the map, and I just kept just fucking clicking units and going and going and going. And after that, I was just swarming them to where they couldn't keep up, and then I took over the town. Was little strategy involved in that for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I
as soon as
definitely-
you're in the Deathsworn, as soon as you get the, I think it's the Wraith, is the one that has the AOE heal.
yep.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like you have that, you're like, all right, the game's over.
The
I can
heal,
swarm a ton of small minions and then just wait till I can stack dragons, and I'm done.
yeah, it's the heal plus the rezzing and just getting swarms of skeletons too.
Yep.
So basically, you get the healing guys, you get the AOE casters, and you get a frontline guy like the ogre, and that's it. Like That's all you need to do. It's so
Yeah,
simple.
Just go.
That's the game. It's the game
The
in a
one-
nutshell.
There is something that one other thing that really turned me off about like the gameplay. Like if you really want to like have units work the way that they're supposed to work, such as range people stay as range, melee stay as melee. If you were doing that strategy or playing with those healers, they don't like to stay at range. You said like an attack command for a big group. Your healers like to run up to the front line instead
Yeah.
of staying back.
I thought my
And-
macro had been more managing my healers than anything else.
because they don't have like a set of like what they're supposed to do. It's like there's no reason that the healers should work that way. Like command should not make them run into melee range. Because something interesting, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but if you were playing against another Death Swarm and they had the big ogres, the ogres would walk over them and kill them. Like they didn't have to swing; they just had to walk into them, and they would kill big groups of your healers.
Yeah, they got the
Oh.
trample.
Yeah, they would just trample over them. But it's like the units didn't behave the way they should. There's no like organization on like if you move a group of units, they don't stay in any kind of formation at all. It's just giant groups of things moving in. Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know.
One thing that I do feel the game did well though with those giant groups is it did feel really satisfactory to build up a huge horde and just run it somewhere. Like that
Mhm.
was fun to just have, 50, 60 guys. I feel like it's much more noticeable for some reason on this game compared to like if you build a ton of people in Age of Empires, for some
Well,
reason
you-
it just felt better in this game.
You have limits on other games on how many troops you can have. You don't have limits on this one. As long as you keep building farms, you can. Most games have you stopped at 200 capacity for population. This game had no population limit.
I'm telling you, that's what I would do. Like 5 barracks and just sand and just go, 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 go.
So let's talk a little bit about population because I don't know if you guys made the same mistake I did when you first started playing this game. I'm so used to games like Dungeons and Dragons, like Age of Empires, where the strategy is boom your economy and then your military if you're not rushing. So I had like 50 carts and they were all just
Yeah.
standing around. I didn't realize they could only come in one at a time to the gold mine.
Yeah.
So I had a ton of carts just laying around the first time. Finally, somebody that had played before came in and said, "Hey, you do realize that those guys can't do anything right now. They're just being wastes of space." I was like, "Oh, that would have been really nice to know."
I'm pretty sure I was the one that was trying to tell you that.
I think it took about third mission before I realized like these are a lot of idle guys, and I just
Yeah.
sent them to other places on the map.
Basically, like my first RTS was Warcraft 2, so it's like when you send like units to the mine, you're basically sending a set amount because only one can enter at a time, and that's exactly how this works. Really, this seemed like they took that Warcraft style and just changed the artwork, and then obviously their gameplay was just nothing like this game anyway.
And I actually heard a couple of people compare it to, when I was looking at some of the other reviews and information about it, they compared it to, early Warcraft games and like Command and Conquer and some of those old school RTSs. Some people were saying they got that vibe from it, but I mean, this game is from 2016. This is not an old game, and some people are trying to use that as like an excuse for like, oh, this is the strategy they're going for.
It's also
I'd say
It's
in
also-
the artwork is where it's most noticeable. Basically, like, I mean, if you look at what you're looking at now with the Deathsworn Town Hall, it's like that's literally the Orc Town Hall in
Yeah.
Warcraft. And like
Yeah.
throughout the game, the elementals, like everything, it's based on like Warcraft, which I love because I love Warcraft. But I felt like that was kind of where it stopped resembling it, is like the artwork, and then like the gameplay itself. You kind of got a little bit of it, but
they tried to copy some units.
yeah.
There were some units and like some of the responses. It was yes, I see. Yeah, they were trying to go for that classic style, but I think it was old Warcraft meets old StarCraft rushing, like just swarming.
Mhm.
And that's
Hording
what
up,
I
yeah.
don't like. I don't like Zerging. I don't like StarCraft because of that. And that's what turned me on. Once I got a few missions in, I was like, really, that's all I'm doing is building a shit ton of this and sending it in to its death and just keep doing it over and over.
Oh man, you should actually
So out of
watch some
curiosity, did
StarCraft
you
streams.
start playing like Red Alert or something along those lines, where it was more of like I need to be strategic, I need to research.
Yeah, that's
'Cause
where
what
I
did.
was
That's
at.
the same
Was
vibe where I'm just like, this is Zergling rushing. It's not fun.
yeah, Zerging to me is not fun at all. I loved Command and Conquer from the first one until they just started getting really bad. But
I mean, after generals, yeah, kind of like a tip. But
and even like when back in the day when I played, Warcraft 1 Orcs and Humans, Warcraft 2, I still played a little bit of strategy with that. Like I would go scout out what the other, the enemy base had. And that's why, playing Age of Empires 2 with y'all, and the rush tactic and stuff, I wasn't used to that. And I'm trying to get myself used to it now, but I still don't like the Zerg thing, and I refuse to play StarCraft because of it.
You should watch some StarCraft like pro stuff. It's like
I
guess
used to watch that. It's insane.
It's kind of like Zerging, I guess, but it's like very limited on like unit stuff, and they do a lot of counter strategies. There's a lot of strategy to that game.
Yeah.
But I can
I don't
understand.
think I can move my fingers on my keyboard that fast.
It's a fast paced game. That's the big thing. It's just so quick paced. But this game just frustrated the crap out of me.
So y'all played multiplayer, correct?
Yeah, played a little bit.
but like one game.
Yeah, I played one game multiplayer, and really it was just like, can my Zerg beat your Zerg, or my Swarm beat your Swarm? And then I played skirmishes, single player skirmishes, and I did not like how they handled the location on the map. It wasn't like specific spawn points, to where 3 out of 5 of the skirmish maps I played, the enemy was literally next to me, like right there. I went to go, let me go explore the map and see where they were. Couple ticks over, and boom, there they are. I'm like, why is this happening?
Question: did anybody else try the multiverse gameplay?
Was that like the hex shaped one?
Yeah, the thing that's like Civilization meets RTS.
I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on there, and I couldn't figure it out. I tried to play it, I tried to click, I tried to push buttons.
Look at all those.
I watched the YouTube video.
Yeah,
I still didn't figure out what was going on.
If you're watching the stream, you'll see here what you're exactly not supposed to do with the mine card.
I think this is the game that I was talking to you. Not
Look at
that.
One.
You built so many mine carts that are literally doing nothing. You need 4 of those.
And that's what I wanted to loop back and talk about was, and I know Carson, this is something I wanted to kind of bring back to like the days of us playing Age of Empires 2 is there are strategies in other RTS games that, and StarCraft, you rush or you turtle and you kind of build up your defenses. And I was thinking here like, yeah, I'm gonna build up my economy and like be ready for the late game. But there's really no option. Like you guys were talking about how the rush is really all there is. They're not overestimating this, guys. If you haven't played this game only has one way to win, and that is build a bunch of troops and rush with them.
What are you talking about? I beat a game by building only turrets.
That's okay. There's 2 ways to win.
That is awesome.
I found like when they first introduced the turrets, I realized how powerful the turrets were. I actually had recorded it, and then I ended up deleting it somehow and sending Nate the wrong one, so I lost the footage. But I beat a game by only building turrets, which is a pain in the ass because you know how you have to build. You can't just build something on the other side of the map. You have to build out.
You can see me
on the screen.
You can see me struggling with that right now. Like I really wanted to put a stronghold down over there. I put my troops over there to get rid of the fog of war. Nope, can't do it.
And
That bugged me a lot, especially because thematically that made no sense. It's like if you're thinking about StarCraft with like the Protoss, it's like at least there you're doing like, oh, this is an energy.
You got to put a pylon down.
Build there, but this race isn't even like that in any way. So why can't you build?
Oh, those cleaving guys! Look at they're just killing my archers.
Dude, they're so overpowered, man. It's like holy shit. And I seriously thought the I'm gonna call them orcish. The orc freaking melee units were just
the warriors.
The warriors. They were worthless.
They were just meat shields for your
run in and die real quick. And the archers were amazing to me. I loved them, but
the one thing is, and Rod and I did play the multiplayer a couple hours. Like, I did think it was like I had a little bit of fun doing that, but I also felt like once we played that and we did, I can't remember. Did we do 1-on-1 at all, or just the AI?
We did 1-on-1 the very first time, but you like hadn't touched the game, so I beat you in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And because you were not.
Did we rematch though after that though? Because I felt like there was one where like we had a big amount of forces.
Yeah, there was one where we did 2v2, and I think I built like all defenses trying to defend our stuff, and I think I also put it on a harder difficulty too.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then we ended up reducing the difficulty because they just bum rush you. Like
Yeah.
it's impossible.
So here's my question: if you were to play Red Alert 2 multiplayer as opposed to this, which do you think you'd have more fun playing today?
Red Alert 2.
Because
Definitely
Red
not
Alert 2
this.
came out, what, 17, almost 18 years ago?
Yeah.
It's just there's a very clearly defined, here is how you do RTS. Here's how RTS can be so much fun. And they just ignored all of those aspects of games that have clearly been developed by major firms for decades, literal decades.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just so frustrating to be like, we have 2 ground-based like floor champions and then 2 who have 1 AoE ability, and that's it. It's like, I'm over here playing Earth 2160 from 1997, and I can play that and build a tech tree that has 300 options per class. And it's just like, I'm sorry, I just get frustrated. It's like, it just seems like they didn't try that hard at it. Like, the balancing is nice, like it looks pretty, it keeps with their theme, but beyond that, it's just, eh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they were trying to develop something to that depth, but there really wasn't any depth.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no.
They give some depth. There
Oh,
wasn't
nice
any at
one.
all.
So tell me more about
Agreed.
this multiverse because I didn't get the
All
chance
right.
to see that one.
So overall, when I look at Steam, I actually played this game 15 hours. I would say half of it was trying to play that goddamn multiverse. And I think I only played it once, or at least only once through. I think I restarted it like 4 times. So essentially, it is Civilization, so Civ theme, where you have hexagons, you have your starting location, and you build units from these hexes. You build, you can build certain structures that can build certain units on these structure or those hexagons, and you move and you capture the hexagons. It'll give you'll have defending troops you can put into the hexagon, and then you can have troops that you put into another grouping that you can move around the map. So you build a force, put them to move around the map, and you go to a hexagon, and that hexagon then gives you a percentage of auto winning. So you could always choose to auto win, which you can kind of do with certain ones once you get powerful enough, or early on gives you the option. Or you can go and actually play on that map, which the computer's like percentage of you winning is so bullshit. Sorry, I don't know if we're supposed to. If I'm not supposed to swear.
Some moderate swearing is perfectly fine. Let's just
Okay.
not
We're
mention.
grown-ups here.
It was baloney. So they'd give me like a terrible, like a 12% chance to win, and I end up just destroying them. And it's like their whole percentage of winning is awful. The big issue I had in this is once you progress far enough where you're pushing your territory towards their territory, and you get border to border, they're a computer. There is no turns on this like you would get with Civ. So you don't take turns. The computer just automatically starts doing stuff as soon as you come out of the game and come to the big map. They start moving stuff immediately. Gives you no time to like go to each like landmass or your hexagon and like train troops and move troops around the map. Nothing. They immediately will turn. So I had this. This is why I had to restart a few times. Was I would have to defend like 4 or 5 times in a row on the same landmass because the enemy kept on sending different army groups at the same landmass, and it just killed the game for me. It was so boring. I think this took me 7 hours of gameplay to actually push through and finally win. There's some interesting aspects of it where you'll get into like neutral zones where there's actually a third neutral party. Well, they're not neutral, they're enemies. Sometimes they're very weak. Other times they are high-tech, like space aliens with like UFOs or like a military full of mechs, and they will just wreck you. Like I think it was Fiasco talking about playing the skirmish where sometimes when you start the map and the placement of the enemies seems really goofy, like they'll put you right next to them, they'll do that sometimes. To where you go into this match and you may be trying to attack it at the same time as the. So I always played the Forsaken or the Horde unit, so you get the human also attacking it at the same time. Then you'd have a third party like the mechs, and they might spawn them right next to you, and they are extremely powerful. Like they're mechs against archers.
So
Like,
so they would bring in the universe from their other games, the 8-bit armies and the 8-bit.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's one
They
thing
would-
I wanted to mention was kind of interesting about this game is that it supports cross-game play, is what they call it. It's not cross-platform, it's cross-game. Because 8-bit armies and 8-bit invaders, which is the one with the aliens, are playable races in these multiplayer games. So it's basically like expansions for the base game, but all they'd add are, different races.
So essentially, yeah, they made two different games, and they are trying to get you to buy two games that are the same exact game, just different, different units, right? Yeah, that's the other thing. I looked in there and I kind of looked at like this studio's games, and it's basically they're just trying to sell you the same stuff over and over again with DLC and stuff. But,
Yeah. And I didn't play that section, but I was very surprised with how limited the base game is, that they were trying to do all these different game modes.
yeah, that multiverse was like almost unplayable. It took me so long. Like there were so many times where I had to fight over and over and over again on the same hex just to control it until they finally ran out of units.
Yeah.
And
Good
then
work, Rod, by sticking with it that long.
Yeah, well, I'm like those. Usually, it's rare that I get to a point where I get so frustrated with the game, I just put it away. So I want to win this, I want to beat this kind of mentality, and it made me so disgusted with it.
There's your horde. I see the swarm running.
Yeah, we're swarming. You can see them on the right-hand side there. And that is where this game succeeded. Building hordes, 8-bit hordes, and running them through guys that then demolish half of them because you aren't paying attention.
Like that.
Was a lot of
so
fun.
So many.
Oh, look at those archers. Yes. So like that, don't get us wrong. This game has a lot of things that are very bad with it, but it does some things very well. And I do agree that when you said that this is a mobile RTS, I hadn't thought about that before, but now that I have heard you say it, I can't get it out of my head. Because this is definitely something that I could see being a ton of fun to play on the phone with like a good control scheme. Because it doesn't have to be deep, right? If they sped it up so that a match took, one bathroom break at work, and you could play it in like 5 minutes and run a huge horde through the enemy base, that would be cool. I would like that.
Yeah, just tap on the screen with the unit, keep tapping. Tap, 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 tap.
Yep.
And that little fucker would just go. And then
But as a full game, especially one that I think base sticker price is $20, is that right?
15, I think.
15.
Uh,
They're asking for a lot for not a lot of
Yeah.
games. Like,
It just shows you how hard it is to make a good RTS too.
uh,
Like there's a lot of games that you can kind of like make a really simple game and it's fun. And this is probably that, but like I think to get really like RTSs are hardcore for the most part.
mhm.
And people that play RTSs want a really deep game. They don't just want like a casual game. So I think the mobile comparison, like
That's
I couldn't agree with that more.
holy clicks right there.
I know. When I look at this game and look at like
WWE.
what they
This is-
did to build this, I feel like these are people who don't actually play RTSs. They've just seen RTSs and they're like, oh, let's build this game. And
These
they
were
don't,
popular back in the day. Let's do this.
and they build things that have units and absolutely no depth or control to the game. It's so minimal, so boring. Because while you'd say it would be fun, like as a mobile game playing for like a lunch or whatever, but like after playing that multiverse, doing the same tactic over again, just a mass army over and over again, after like the third time, it's just like boring.
To you guys out there, never update your display drivers. It may seem like a good idea, but it always ends poorly. I think we're back. I don't. The video that seemed to be causing the trouble is not going to get played, so I think we'll be back in here. And now that we're back from our slight technical difficulties, this is a perfect transition into our feeling on the score. Also, Bjorn, you'll have to revote there because the poll had to get cycled. So if you already voted, vote again for your game, and we'll talk about that in a second. But Carson,
I don't know what I'm voting for.
let's start with you, Carson. Let us know what you thought about this game because I think it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, it's from what I've heard, this is probably going to be the highest score out there. I gave it a 5 ogres out of 10, which I thought was a fair score. I enjoyed it well enough that I probably would play it again. I guess the reason I enjoyed it is probably kind of the opposite of why everybody else said they hated it. They all were talking about it from a standard RTS genre, talking about how they wanted to be able to do specific things, but I kind of liked it in the way where I didn't have to do everything at once. I didn't have to go send my villagers out to get gold, wood, everything. I just kind of made them and let them do their own thing. It was kind of like a quick pick 'em up. Like, I enjoy Age of Empires, but I don't like it when I just get steamrolled every time because somebody outbuilt me a ton.
He wants a game that plays itself.
Kind of. I enjoy Age of Empires, but I also sometimes enjoy like a streamlined version of that where I can just do that and then just feel like a god because I just steamrolled the enemy people by building a massive horde. So pretty much everything that you guys said you hated, I kind of enjoyed.
To each their own.
I get that.
Because I didn't have to like go in and take care of every little thing. I just got to make a few buildings, and I didn't have to click on each individual building and build people out of that. I could just build it from one tab and start building a ton of archers and have them all come out at the same time instead of having to go to one barracks to the other barracks to the other barracks to the other barracks, all while doing 20 other things. So I enjoyed that section of it. I do kind of see how it's kind of lacking because you only really had 15 missions, I guess, and the only thing to go back and do is to get all the stars for those, which can kind of be irksome, but I kind of enjoy like the quickness of it. So it's something that like if you feel like you want to play an RTS but you only have 15-20 minutes, you can totally hop on and do it. So kind of the same like mobile aspect that you guys were talking about, but kind of a better version of it. It runs smoothly and everything.
Fair enough.
I enjoyed the graphics of it and whatnot.
Let's go to the other side of the aisle because I think Graves is next.
He's itching to scream.
Yeah, so I gave it a 2 vomiting skeletons out of 10. Not sure if you guys paid attention, but the workers would ask, can a skeleton vomit occasionally? But which is like, I will say that's like the one thing I really actually enjoyed about the game was that line itself right there.
That was the highlight. End of review.
Yeah. It was just so, I don't know. Like, they had some interesting things, like concept where you build multiple barracks. You stop. Who's typing? With their loud keyboard.
Carson over there. Automatic gunfire. Sorry, continue.
Yeah.
Multiple barracks.
Yeah, so you build like multiple barracks and it decreases the amount of time it takes for you to train a unit. And it's kind of interesting, but it really like doesn't give you a whole lot to do after that because now you're just clicking build off of one building and that's it. Like you don't have multiple buildings you're working with, building different units from different buildings. It's like there's not enough there. In RTS, it's real-time strategy game. I mean, you're expecting to have to work quickly with different things and have multiple things going on. I mean, there's always the micromanaging and the macro managing of things. Units were very simple and not balanced at all because there's really just like one strategy will win anything. The fact that I could beat a normal difficulty match by only building turrets Also, the fact that turrets counted as units was weird. I don't think I've ever experienced that in any other game when it comes to defensive objects like that.
It was like balancing at that point.
It's
Because they knew how OP they were.
yeah, but you could just build farms, and it doesn't matter. It's weird that it counted as a unit. I don't know. The fact that you could only build one structure at a time, so it slowed down the game. You could only build one unit. Essentially, even if you had like 5 barracks, you could only build one type of unit at a time.
But they got faster.
It did get faster, but you couldn't build melee and ranged at the same time. So you either had to do what Nate was doing, where he was alternating back and forth on clicking, because it would do it in the exact order that you clicked on them. So you could do 5 and then 5 and then add another 5, so it showed 10, and it would do 5, 5, 5 when it was building stuff. But there wasn't anything here.
I will also mention, because you guys were commending me for my actions per minute there earlier, those video clips were sped up like 175%. So I'm not exactly like StarCraft level with those clicks.
Click, 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 click. I was like, geez,
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
Good aim.
but yeah, the building of like your structures, how you had to build outwards from the center to get to the other resource areas. It was interesting that the units would automatically start resourcing from a different location once the current mine was just empty. I don't know. It was definitely lacking. That's why I think it would have been better as a mobile RTS. And there's no way this game should be $15 full price. I know. I think most of us who bought it when it was on sale for $6, and I still feel like I overpaid for it because I put 15 hours in, but I put 15 hours because we do this. I would not have put 2 hours into that game if I was doing it for fun. Yeah, it just all around bad experience. And Jake and I were talking about this before. Jake said that I should choose all the games that we play.
No.
Well, democracy did pick this one, so maybe a totalitarian approach would be a better. We'll see how this next month goes. Goose, what were your thoughts?
I was significantly underwhelmed. I mean, I gave it 3. Probably shouldn't have given that much. It's everything about this game it's a little pretty. The music is okay, but after looking it up, I actually found out the people that did the music was the same guy who did the Red Alert music for Westwood Studio. So it's like, oh, okay, that's probably one of the things I enjoyed most. Just had a nice peaceful background, like the music was fun, but there was nothing that went into it. It was just bland and boring after a bit. It was okay, rush 300 small mobs and then fight small mobs. And if AoE guys came to attack you, spread your mobs out if you could, but otherwise you're just going to lose. It's a mobile game. It is a mobile game. It was just very underwhelming. But it was still a little fun if you're, under the age of 12. Probably a good RTS to start with, but beyond that, dude, Red Alert's not that expensive. You could buy the whole package for pretty cheap on Steam. It's summer sale. Go for that. To be honest.
Fair enough. Mr. Fiasco, I don't think I ever got your number in here. You're a
What? You didn't
Wait, he gave it a 9?
That looks like a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
that was what I defaulted everybody to when I was making the slide. So what are we working with, Fiasco? I think you said 5.
How about a 5? And then just like last time, I break it down with categories and stuff, and it came out to a 4.8, and I just rounded up for your sake there, Nate. But yeah, a 5, and some of my favorite points to it, going down my list, like I really liked the graphics, the whole 8-bit scheme, the 3D 8-bit scheme was crisp, it was clean, I enjoyed that, and it was very fluid. The music was great. I think that received my highest score of my categories was the music. It was original Warcraft-esque with a little digital and like this symphony mixture of it was interesting to me, and I enjoyed that. Story.
Sorry, what?
There's a story?
Yeah. So
NA.
I missed the gameplay.
Yeah, there wasn't really.
Did you make a story up along the way? Because
No,
no one
it
else got
was
that.
what I. Yeah, I think I was. I was making up a story. I was tying in things that were going on in this game with Warcraft 1 and 2.
Fair enough.
And
That's a good
so
way to do it.
I was seeing similarities in what they were trying to do there, but they didn't just come out and say it. It wasn't really a story. But I was like, this reminds me so much of X and Y. But then the next, when it comes to content, was no. Like, there was no content to it. And like I say, if it wasn't for what I was putting in my own head, the story would, yeah, NA.
Yep.
Controls were because there really wasn't much to it. I was just hitting WE and attack move, WE attack movement, and then eventually, like I said earlier, I was just setting my spawn point out of my freaking barracks to wherever I was attacking. So I'm going to that keep. That's my spawn point. WE. So so pretty simple controls. And then, but overall, my gameplay, I didn't like it. Like I mentioned, I don't like the surge, swarm, horde, whatever style of play. I don't like just sending constant units to their death, and then eventually I'll just break through the walls. I like actually thinking out a strategy and having to come and flank this way, or send focus this and bring air units in. That was another thing too, like with all the units that were unbalanced. Even the air units, I was very unimpressed with. Like you have your little Zeppelin that was dropping bombs, but the bombs were just so damn slow. If units are moving, you never hit anything. And then if you got close to a keep with those bombs, their range units were taking those Zeppelins out way too easy. But then you had the dragons. You bring the dragons in, and they just melt everything. So I was like, why the hell would I build this Zeppelin then? I'm just going to build this dragon and these archers. And the meat shields were just there to allow my archers to do what they. I don't know. It was kind of irritating gameplay for me. Not my cup of tea. And when we was voting for it, I was kind of excited for this game because of what they were trying to do with the nostalgia of the Warcraft, old school Warcraft, and Command and Conquer. And we keep bringing up Command and Conquer, Red Alert, and stuff. Petroglyph is a bunch of developers from Westwood Studios. Some of the last remaining guys from Westwood that created Command and Conquer. So it's not like these guys don't have a history of making good RTSs. So I don't know what they were trying to do here, other than put some 8-bit nostalgia effect. I don't know. I was really confused. But yeah, like I said, overall, just under a 5. So I think, as all of us were kind of a little disappointed, I was the most in how excited I was to play this game. And I agree, $6 is still $5 or less, probably $2.99 to play on my tablet. Yeah, I think I can get down with that.
I think that's a good point. I'll let Jumble say his piece before I jump in on that, though. Oh.
All right, yeah. So I gave it 3 out of 10 as well.
3 out of 10 overpowered pikemen, though. Just to be fair, those 3 pikemen could probably take on like 80 archers.
Yeah, and there would never be 3. There would be about 300 out of 1,000.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge RTS fan. That's what got me into PC gaming, specifically Warcraft 3, which is really why I voted for this, because I love RTS games.
Man, y'all need some orcs and humans in your life.
Well, that was a little before my time, but partially because my parents wouldn't buy a PC until way late in the game. But yeah, the game to me was so simple that I had trouble enjoying it for more than just like an hour or two. Rod and I played multiplayer, which I'm always like really into competitive style play, especially in RTS, and even if it's just AI, I like kind of the rush of like controlling, managing everything micro and macro, and like all the different options of how you can win the game. And that definitely made this not the game for that, because like as we've said, it's super simple. It's basically a mobile game feel. I think they have a really good base game with like graphics and the music, like you guys said. And I feel like if they like put more effort into it, I don't know if they're like continuing to develop this game, if this is like done or where it is in the development. But it seems like if they were to add like a bunch more units, maybe tweak some stuff around, it could be a lot of fun. And maybe scratch that itch where it's a more complex game. And then other than that, there was just some like real basic stuff that annoyed me about the game. I wasn't a fan at all of how you had to build within range of your own base. That felt super limiting strategically to me because these RTS games like Warcraft and stuff, it's all about establishing a second base across the map maybe. And if you have to basically tunnel all your structures there the whole time, there's no point in doing that. So yeah, you're just gonna basically take the mine that's closest to your base no matter what. And yeah, other than that, I'd say the game felt really like scatterbrained to me. Like they weren't sure which direction they wanted to take it, so they built this campaign that started to feel like a tutorial, so I kind of hopped off of that. They had this multiverse mode. I wasn't really sure, like Aaron said, what they were going for with the game. So that's kind of my piece. Like overall, for the couple hours I played it, like it was all right, but just with the amount of RTS I've played in my life, it was like, if I'm gonna spend more time doing this, I'd rather just go back and play one of the games this is trying to remind me of.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Might as
that.
well go to the source for the nostalgia, right? I gave 8-Bit Hordes 4 straight up Arthas ripoffs out of 10. Um, I want to jump in off of what you said earlier there, Jake, about how the game didn't kind of have too much depth to it, and you like that kind of that experience you get when you're trying to micro and macro multiple things at the same time. Um, I definitely feel that a real-time strategy game for me, the value of the replay comes from knowing that I could have done better. Like knowing that I could have been quicker with my build order and been more efficient with my troops and done better scouting and like having all of those things that you can constantly try and master, I think adds a lot to the replayability of the game. And this game had none of those things that I mentioned, right? I mean, the units, I found most success when I just massed archers and threw out a couple of meat shields just to keep the people busy. Um, the micro, the, it didn't feel like the troop counters were that important until until those dang spearmen wandered into my archers and blowed them all down. But a lot of the elements of a real-time strategy game were missing, and I feel like calling this an RTS is too much. I think that well, you said earlier, Goose, that it's a game for introductory RTS players. I think that's true. I think it's a good kind of like, oh, this is fun and kind of gets me the idea of moving troops around and producing them. Um, I do agree that it's definitely a little bit too expensive for what it is, and the value for me just wasn't there. I love the idea of the multi-game play together sort of thing. Like that's a cool thing, and it's something I'd never seen before. So that's gotta be unique. Um, but it does also feel kind of like they're just trying to make a quick buck and like, oh yeah, you bought one $20 game. Instead of paying $5 for 2 more factions, we're gonna charge you $20 for another game. So it's kind of all over the place. Uh, all in all, great graphics, a lot of fun there, good music, but a lot of things that kept it from being a great game. So, unfortunately, definitely not our favorite game that we've played so far. Thus far, if you guys missed the first one, I think I have put it up on YouTube. If not, I'll make sure it gets up there. Um, we have played Psychonauts, which was an awesome platformer. We just finished playing 8-Bit Hordes, which was a real-time strategy game. And this next month, we are going to be playing roguelikes or roguelite. If you've never played a roguelike game before, the whole idea of a roguelike is that you're kind of building your hero up from nothing. You've got limited number of life that you've got there, so if you die, typically it means a game over. That's kind of where you'll see the difference between a roguelike, which is like you're playing a classic arcade game, and when you die, you got to start all the way at the beginning, and a roguelite, which is if you die, usually you'll go back to a checkpoint or something like that. And this month we have 3 really good ones. I've heard a lot of good things about all of these. I'm super excited to play any of the 3, so voting is going to be very tricky for me. But let me tell you a little bit about them so you can make an informed decision, as it is important as a voter. Rogue Legacy. Rogue Legacy is one that I was turned on to by a friend who mentioned we got to check it out because it's a very interesting take where whenever you, as the character, die, you are succeeded by one of your children. So your child now comes in, and each child, just like in the real life, is unique and special. Some may be colorblind, others might have vertigo. They could be a dwarf, but that's okay because no one's perfect. So it's kind of a play down your family lineage. From what I understand, the more traits that you like pick into, like, oh yeah, colorblindness, I'm fine playing with that, the more frequently those will show up. So kind of an interesting take on the whole rogue experience where when you die, you're not coming back as some nameless adventurer, you're coming back as the next person down your family tree. So a very prolific line, I'm sure. But that's Rogue Legacy, which if you'd like to vote for Rogue Legacy, you can put 1 in the chat.
That sounds good.
And it does have to be I think it has to be just the number. So if Goose wants to vote for 3, he's going to have to put just 3, and it has to come from his account because everybody can only vote once. The second one, another really interesting looking roguelite. Actually, this one I think they call a roguelike. So this is Wizard of Legend, described as a no-nonsense, action-packed take on wizardry that emphasizes precise movements and smart comboing of spells in a roguelike dungeon crawler that features over 100 unique spells and relics. I've watched a couple of people play this on Twitch, and it looks like a ton of fun in the whole bullet hell, constant moving, chaining spells together. I can't wait to get my hands on it either way. I did pick it up, so even if we don't play it as part of the Games Club, I plan on playing it a little bit on stream when time finally becomes available. It does still have that kind of fun pixel graphic look to it, and it looks to have a decent story built around it as well. So excited to see that one. And the final one on the list is Moonlighter, which is definitely, it looks like it's the deepest of all of them. Moonlighter is a game combining elements of an action RPG and a roguelite element. And also apparently it's got a little bit of like a shopkeeping sim in it, because the whole idea is you are playing the character Will, whose everyday routine is running a shopkeep. He kind of sells stuff to heroes that come through, and from his work in the shop, he kind of secretly begins to think maybe I could be a hero. He gets some illusions of grandeur or dreams, whatever you'd prefer to go with. So by day you're a shopkeep, and by night you begin to delve into the local dungeon. I've seen this one played as well. Again, got some pixel graphics to it. Awesome adventure. Looks like a fun game to play. Which doesn't help me make my decision because there's a lot of interesting looking games out there. So tricky to pick. What's the vote looking like right now? It looks like, is that a 50-50 split between Rogue Legacy and Wizard of Legends? I think Goose said he voted for Moonlighter.
He would if he knew his password.
Well.
Rip me.
Yep. We'll count 1 vote for Moonlighter then. Okay, so for those of you that are with us in the chat, if you haven't already voted, now's your chance. Take it before it disappears.
Fiasco.
Yay!
Yeah, and I'm Rogue Legacy. I think I might have bought that one as well. If not, I definitely will because that one also looks to be a lot of fun. But I think Wizard of Legend is probably going to get my vote too. I think I'm going to cement the Wizard of Legend game as our next game of the month, just because it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys will enjoy it. And
I am really torn between Wizard of Legend and Moonlighter. Honestly, I really want to try both of them.
Well,
yeah, when you were talking about all 3 of them, I was just like, yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want that. Yeah, oh shit, I don't know which one to go with.
Good.
I've seen the gameplay of Moonlighter. I must not have seen nearly as much as you because I seriously thought all you were was a
shopkeep.
Shopkeep.
The shopkeep.
That one. Yeah, like I saw a little bit of the guy like leaving, so I assume he just goes and gets resources or something and brings it back, and that's it.
I mean, that's the name Moonlighter. You're moonlighting as a hero.
Yeah.
I was like, man, it's a shopkeep sim? This seems so boring.
I'll tell you this, Moonlighter was on my list for the Steam Summer Sale, and I was super disappointed to see it didn't go on sale. If it had, I
Yeah.
definitely would have picked it up. Wizard of
Yeah,
Legend and
actually
Rogue Legacy are
was.
both on the summer sale, and you can pick them up between now and July 3rd for the discounted price. I think Wizard of Legends is like $8, $10, $12. And
Rogue Legacy is like 2. That's what I voted for.
Yeah, Rogue Legacy is dirt cheap. I really $3. I'll probably pick it up, and it'll go on my list of games that I hardly play.
I
or
picked it
never
up
play.
regardless if we're gonna do it just because of I think it's $2.99 or whatever. But
Yeah, it's $2.99.
yeah. So whichever one wins, I think. Yeah, and Wizards of Legends $13.59. Moonlighter is definitely gonna be purchased eventually. I just probably when it goes on sale. I think that it's definitely gonna have more depth, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like the most story-driven one of them all. And
So I'm
if
thinking-
you're not a roguelike person, stick around because September we are going to be playing an RPG title to be determined.
Yay!
So we'll do the same deal. We'll have 3 options that we'll come to you guys with on the RPG track, and you'll
Wait.
get to help vote which one to go with.
We're playing in September?
Did I skip
month?
Did I skip a month?
You skipped August.
August.
Oh, I skipped August.
August
Yeah,
also
no,
exists.
sorry. August will be our RPG month. And honestly, if we're doing an RPG, we might have to do 2 months. We might have to
2
do
months.
August and September.
Yeah.
Depending
We'll
on
do like
the
a
data,
halfway
yeah.
checkup, and then we'll do like a final review.
Ooh.
Yeah, not a bad
Ooh.
idea.
The fractured butthole.
South Park.
RPG.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Put it on the
I
list.
haven't-
We can vote for
I
it.
haven't played that one yet.
Tomb Raider.
I have one more random comment about 8-bit hordes as well.
Throw it out
which
there.
is when we were playing, Rod.
Mhm.
I think you mentioned like something about this could be a tower defense game. I totally agree with that point. I don't remember if you made it or not, but like the game itself, like we all love the graphics, we all love the music, and how simple it is. And I love tower defense games. This would have totally been a perfect tower defense game if
I mean,
we were to do that.
Nate saw part of the video I sent him. It was just me building towers.
Rod
Like
wasn't.
towers
He was
of
playing
defense.
his own tower defense.
It
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
tower defense game. I will mention one thing about the music because I didn't mention it at all. And I must not have got the exact same experience as you guys. But I thought the music was good, but for some reason I got like the same exact music over and over again. Like there was like no diversity. It got so
To be
annoying.
to be fair, you played it for like 16 hours.
Yeah, you
and
played it for about 3
I don't
times
think
as much
any
as
of us
WoW.
played it.
No, like when I played Multiverse, every single match, all it played was the same music, every single time, and it was just the same little jingle or whatever it was. I thought it was great. It was good. It's just not good for 15 hours.
All right, let's do final words as we wrap it up here, guys. I want to thank you all for joining us in the stream on the chat. Thank you guys for voting, and of course, I want to thank you all individually for being part of the Games Club. Fiasco, final words. What do you got? Doesn't have to be about the game. Anything you want to say.
I love you all.
It doesn't get better than that. Goose.
8-bit hordes. Oh wait, I might be muted.
No, you're
No,
good.
you're good.
I'm good. Okay. 8-bit hordes is about as much fun as FDR's legs.
Okay.
Wow.
Graves, let's just keep going. Graves, final words.
After seeing the scores, anybody that gave this 50% or higher, I question my friendship.
I think I snuck in
What's a
under
good-
a 4, so
It's a good thing you don't know me in person.
Yes.
Jumbles, what do you got for us, man?
Good opportunity. Go pick up Warcraft 3.
Fair
Or
enough.
2.
Or 2. Carson.
I don't have much, but I'm out of beer, so I'd say if you're running low on drinks, go grab one and I'll crack one with you.
Save the $15 that you would save on or spend on 8-bit hordes and spend it on beer instead. I like it.
Yeah, I should have.
All right, thank you guys very much for joining us. Catch us around for one of our other streams, and we'll see you guys in about a month for our review of Wizard of Legend. You can catch me playing it live here whenever the nights work out. Summer is a little bit busy for all of us, but hopefully we'll see you guys soon.